Well, I've never gone through anything like that, so I can't sit here and say, I can imagine how it is, because...
It's sad that it happened, and it's sad that you have to live with it.
Yeah.
And it's even worse that there's people out here like them defense investigators that's just, and my son told me yesterday, he said he had talked to...
You have your micro cassette?
Huh?
Micro cassette.
Don't have one, get one.
Yeah, if you get one, we'll just set it in here too, so that way that'll be easier for him.
Well, they drug you into it.
Oh.
You say you started here in '94?
No, sir, I've been here since 91,
Okay.
1991. But I wasn't working in the criminal investigation division in 93, 94. I didn't come until 96.
Okay.
Upstairs here. I've been here ever since. Okay. We're good? Yeah. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. That'll work. Okay. Today's date is Thursday, June 21st, 2007. Time now is 9:32 a.m. I'm Detective Lieutenant Ken Mitchell, presently along with Detective Chuck Knowles. We're presently in the CID office of the West Memphis Police Department, conducting an interview with Mr. Terry Wayne Hobbs, Hobbs, in reference to the triple homicide involving the 3 little boys from 1993. The case number is 93-05-0666 is the case number. And I'd like to go back over a couple of things with you, if I could, to start off with. The first one is a Rule 2.3 rights form that Detective Knowles went over with you just a few minutes ago. Do you understand the 2.3, and are you here voluntarily today, Terry?
I understood the rule, and I am here voluntarily.
Okay. The first signature below that, is that yours?
Yes, sir.
And below your signature, is that Detective Knowles
Yes,
as a
sir.
witness? Okay. Now, I was not present when you went over this with him, correct? Okay. What's your, if you would state your full name and your date of birth?
Terry Wayne Hobbs, 5/21/1958.
And you're currently how old right now?
49.
Okay. Terry, what we'd like to do, and what I was telling you just a few minutes ago, is the prosecuting attorney, Mr. Davis, has asked us to interview a couple people in light of some possible new evidence that may have come up, and just to fill in some blanks, I guess, as far as this case goes, that might be helpful. And that's what we've been asked to do, and that's why we called and asked you, Detective Knowles called you yesterday and asked if you could come in. And I appreciate greatly your availability to us. I mean, that you came in and can do this. What we'd like to do with you to start out with, if you would take us back to May the 5th, 1993. Okay, and I'm going to start out by just asking a few questions, and I'm going to let you just kind of walk us through the day in your mind, what you can remember. If you're not sure of something, just tell us you're not sure, or you don't know. I'm going to move this a little closer to you to make it a little clearer when you're speaking to us. Where were you living? You remember where you were living on May the 5th, 1993?
May the 5th, we were living on McCollege Street in West Memphis.
Do you remember the address?
1601.
Okay, and who all lived in that house?
Terry, Pam, Stevie, and Amanda.
Okay, for purposes of this interview, when you say Pam, who are you talking about?
Pam Hobbs, my wife.
Okay.
At the time.
You said Stevie.
Pam, or my stepson, Pam's son.
What's his last name?
Steve Edward Branch.
Okay,
That's his full name.
And how old was Stevie at the time?
At the time, 8 years old.
Okay, and you said Amanda?
Amanda Hobbs, my daughter, She was 4 at the time.
Okay. Was she your daughter with Pam?
Correct.
Okay. All right. You said she was 4?
Correct.
Okay.
Born here in West Memphis.
Okay. And on May the 5th of that year, was Pam working anywhere?
Catfish Island in West Memphis. I'm not sure of the street, but it's over by that Union 76 truck stop.
Okay. And at that particular time also, were you working?
I was working at Memphis Ice Cream Company in Memphis, Tennessee.
Where is Memphis?
914 James Street.
James. Is it still
It's still there.
still there? What was your job title and job description for
I was a
Memphis?
merchandiser. I sold ice cream.
Do you do that over the phone, or do you have a route? Or
I ran a route.
You ran a route. What did your route consist of?
Going to mom and pop stores, little corner groceries, and filling up freezers and selling ice cream.
Was your route strictly in Tennessee, or?
No, I come to West Memphis,
Did you?
Marion, Forest City, up that way, Mariana.
Do you have a route in Tennessee and Arkansas
And Mississippi.
and Mississippi? Okay.
Mhm.
Do you remember working on May the 5th, 1993?
I do.
Do you remember your schedule that day? What time you got up and when, what time you got home?
Excuse me. I usually every day went in about 5:30 a.m. and I'd get off around 2:30, 3 o'clock p.m. About every day.
Now, this particular day, May the 5th, do you remember about what time you got home?
Roughly guessing around 3:30, something like that.
And was anybody home when you got there?
Pam and Amanda was home.
Okay. Did you see Stevie anywhere?
I did not. He wasn't there.
Do you know where he was at?
When I walked in, I always checked on the kids, and I didn't see Stevie, so I asked Pam, where's Stevie? And she said he went off to ride his bicycle with Michael Moore, his bicycle, which his grandparents had just bought him prior to that day.
And if you can remember, what kind of day had that day been for you? I mean, was it anything about the day that stood out up to that point?
No, just another working day, getting home from work. And Pam was cooking supper.
Anything unusual when you got home at all?
Nothing other than Stevie wasn't home. And I always wanted to know where the kids was at. That's why I asked her.
You remember what Amanda was doing during that time, or?
Seemed like she was in Stevie's bedroom watching TV.
No, but just nobody else in the house other than you and Pam and Amanda?
Right.
Okay. Did anybody come over while you were home after you got in?
No.
No?
Mm-hmm.
Did Pam work that particular day?
She did.
Do you know what her hours were?
I think from 5 till 9, or closing, whatever time they closed. Might have been 10, but it seemed like it was 9.
How many different vehicles did y'all own at that time?
I know of 2, but it could have been 3, because I like to work on old trucks, and I believe I had one at that time. I like to restore trucks and sell them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had one. I know we had 2 vehicles.
Hey, were the other 2 ones that you drove?
Correct.
And we remember what they were?
Not really. No, not really.
Did both you and Pam drive daily?
Yeah. I drove one to work. I'm trying to think of what I drove to work. It's a long time ago.
Sure.
We had a LeBaron, no Chrysler LeBaron. We bought from City Motors here in West Memphis. That might have been what I was driving at the time. Maybe blue.
Okay.
I'm just guessing.
Now, this particular day, the 5th, do you remember what time Pam left for work?
When I got home, and seeing Stevie wasn't there, she told me he was supposed to be home at 4:30. So from the time I got home, she was cooking supper, and I would walk out to the driveway and to see if I could see him coming down the road on his bicycle, because he's proud of his new bike, and I didn't see him. So we waited around, and she had to be at work by 5, and you know, I would go in and out of the house to see if I could see him coming, because I had to take her to work. And you know, you just don't want to leave the kids at home by themselves. Well, we didn't, and he didn't show up.
Is there any particular reason you had to take Pam to work?
I don't know if there's a particular reason. I just did it. It's just the way we did things.
Okay. And
I'd take her to work. I'd pick her up from work.
okay. So who all went when you took Pam to work? Who all went?
I drove. Pam went with me, and Amanda.
Okay. Let me back up just a second. During this time period, 1993, up to, say, from the beginning of 93 up to the 5th of May, describe your marriage with Pam. How was your marriage? How would you describe it?
Could have been better. We'd had Pam had a problem of staying faithful. She really did, and that got me, but she had something. She was working at Poncho's one time down here, and we had pool parties every once in a while, and some of the people from Poncho's would come over, and one night I come in there after one of our pool parties. We didn't want the drunk people to drive, so we just let them, you know, fall out, and wherever you laid is where you woke up at. Well, one night we get up, going through the house, looking at people, making sure everybody's okay, and Pam is standing there wrapped up in the arms of a Mexican. His name is Jesse, and he worked at Poncho's with Pam. Well, I whooped the dog out of Jesse. It probably wasn't right, but I did. But you know, that happened, and it was so. I'm not going to say we had the perfect marriage, but that did happen before all that happened. But we had a pretty good marriage, I thought. But you know, Pam just did some things you shouldn't.
What, do you remember what room they were in when you said
The kitchen.
in the kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, any other problems that come to mind as far as your marriage at all during that time, prior to the 5th of May, obviously?
Not really, other than her family. You know, when I met Pam in that restaurant, then she asked me to marry her. Her dad let me know right off the bat, you ain't gotta make her happy, you gotta make me happy. And I kind of thought, well, that's kind of odd. You know, I'm not marrying you, I'm marrying a girl.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, that statement was made, and I don't know, nothing bad I could think of had happened. You know, other than I'd seen the son-in-laws beat up from the dad and the brother when the girls would call home crying to dad or mom. But my husband did this. I'd seen the brother and the dad go over and beat them up. And I just thought, well, I don't want that to happen to me. So I tried to stay away from them.
You and Pam ever have any kind of physical confrontations at all during that part of your marriage? No? Okay.
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, as far as the children, as far as Stevie and Amanda, discipline. Who did either or both of you discipline the kids when they did wrong?
We would, sure.
Both of you?
Well, not the double team.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, did both of you? How did you discipline your children?
With a belt.
Okay.
Or make them stand in the corner. And or ground them, take some away that they like. The Stevie liked Nintendo games, so we would borrow him from the Nintendo, or borrow him from riding his bicycle.
What about Pam? How did she discipline the kids?
When she would yell at them, or not yell, not mean yelling, but just being a mom that left it up to Dad most of the time, but she would whoop them, on occasions.
So I guess between the two of you, who was the bigger disciplinarian? Dad. Okay. Okay. Was there anything in particular that you can remember that Stevie was, into? I understand it's an 8-year-old little boy, typical 8-year-old little boy. Is there anything he was really into at that time, as far as some stuff he really liked? And
Well, he liked watching Ninja Turtles on TV, and he would get out there and think he was Bruce Lee, doing his karate and backflips, and he liked to swim pool. The house had a nice swimming pool in the backyard, and he enjoyed that. And he got into the Boy Scouts. He won that race that year with the little cars that they had to make.
oh, the soapbox derby?
Yeah, he won that race that year.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Now, Stevie's friends. Or did he have any friends he was particularly close to or hung out with more?
I would say a little boy named George. I don't know his last name. At the time was George, and Michael and Chris. Yeah. And then we had some friends lived a couple of streets over, and we'd go over there. And of course, they had the girls a little bit older than Stevie was at the time, but he had a little crush on her, I think, or she might have had a crush on him.
What do you remember the name of those people?
Yeah, David and Bobby Kobe. David and Bobby Jacoby.
Jacoby. What street did they live on?
From where we lived, you get on the gully, 1 or 2 streets over. I don't know the name of the street. But we'd go right now. I got David a job with me one time. He ran out of work, so they put him to work over where I was working at the ice cream company, kind of help him out. And we played guitars together. And so, Pam knew him from Bible. That's how I met him.
Oh, okay.
Right. I didn't really know him, but I met him through her. And when I got him the job where I worked at, they were kind of struggling. So I just tried to be nice and help out.
Where are you originally from?
Cave City, Arkansas.
Cave City.
Yeah. Poughkeepsie, Cave City.
What about Pam? Was she
From
originally
Blyville.
from Blyville?
In Steele, Missouri, up in there.
Okay. Did Stevie ever have any friends come over and spend the night, sleepovers, or anything like that?
He did. I'm just trying to think. Michael may have came. I'm not sure because it's been a while.
Sure, certainly.
Yeah. But it seemed like there was some kids come over. I can't remember. George might have. This little boy named George.
Do you ever remember Stevie going to spend the night at anybody else's house?
His grandparents a lot. Maybe his aunts and uncles on Pam's side of the family. I don't know about West Memphis though. I don't think so. It's possible, but I can't remember that one.
You remember when y'all moved to West Memphis?
86 or 87, sometime in there, when the tornado had come through here.
Mm-hmm. Y'all moved here before or after the tornado?
After.
Afterwards, okay. Going back to May the 5th, you said before, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay, please. You said that you took Pam to work at Catfish Island. Okay, who went with you when you took her?
Amanda.
Okay. And when you dropped Pam off at work, where did you and Amanda go from there?
On our way to take Pam to work. Well, after I got home, if you remember, Pam told me that when I asked where Steve was at, she said he's riding his bicycle with Michael Moore. So on our way to take her to work, we went by the Moore's house to see if Stevie was there or Mike was there.
Mm-hmm.
Don was there. And she told us that, they're riding their bicycles. So, me and Pam decided to take Pam to work, and I'd go back, and I had Amanda with me. We'd go back and try to find them. And when we left Catfish Island, we went back by the Moore's house and just started going street to street in the neighborhood to see if we could find them.
You said you went back. Did you talk to Mr. and Mrs. Moore?
No, I don't think Dawn or Dana was home at the time. Dawn was. And we did talk to her, other than asking her if Stevie or Mike here when we took Pam to work.
Okay.
And when I come back, I didn't see any change, no bicycles in the front yard, so we just drove around street to street in the neighborhood to see if we could see them.
You and
Amanda.
Okay. How long did you do that?
Probably 30 minutes. And I went maybe an hour. I don't know about the time exactly, but after we went back to see if we could find them in the neighborhood, me and Amanda, I took Amanda to, when we both went home, and I said, come on, we're going to walk around the neighborhood and see if we can hear them behind them fences in somebody's yard, because I didn't know where George lived, which one of his little friends. But we was going to see if we could just hear them playing behind them fences, the privacy fences. So we did that for a while, and we didn't see them. We went back to our house, and we hadn't been there very long, and Dana pulled up and asked if Michael was at our house. And I told her, I said, no, but it's supposed to be at your house. She said, well, I just left my house, and they're not, and I'm looking for them. I said, well, we've been looking for them.
Did Miss Moore say if the boys had ever been to her house that afternoon? Or
She didn't, I don't think she said that, but I told her, I said they're supposed to be at your house, so we went by there on our way to work, take Pam to work, and then we come back by, didn't see no bikes, and so we walked around, and then here we are, we're fixing to drive around some more. We was heading back to your house. And she said, well, I'm heading to my house. I told her Dawn was there. I said, we'll follow you over there.
who is Dawn?
Dawn is their daughter.
Their daughter. How old was she at the time? Best guess.
6.
6 years old.
No, she was older than Steve. But she was 10, maybe 11.
Okay.
Just guessing.
What about Mr. Moore? Did you ever talk to him that afternoon or evening?
No. He was truck driving somewhere, working.
Okay. Okay, so after you talk to Ms. Moore, she comes by your house and tells you that she's looking for them, looking for the boys too. At this time, do you know anything about Christopher Byers?
No.
Okay. So what do you do after you talk to Ms. Moore?
She said she's going to her house. I said, well, I'm coming over there too. And 'cause we went over there, and Dawn was still there. And Dawn said she'd seen them go this way on their bicycles. So, while we're standing there in the front yard talking, here comes a big bully-looking dude walking across the street. And I look at him and I said, who's that? And of course, it's Mark Byers. That's when I first met Mark Byers.
Okay.
And he looked like the Shaggy D.A. Don't quote that. But he comes across the street and he said, have y'all seen Chris? And we said, no, but have you seen Mike and Stevie? No. I think right then is when we put together that they might have been together at that time.
Well, when Dawn Moore says that she saw him going up the street, did she say who else she saw?
No.
But she said they were on their bikes.
Because Dana said she'd asked her when she got there, has Michael been home? Has he called? Something like that. And is Stevie with him? Something like that. And Mark come walking across the street saying, did y'all see Christopher? And I think right then is when we figured out they might have all three been together.
And you never met Mark Byers before that day?
No.
Okay. What happens? And you still have Amanda with you?
Correct.
Okay. What happens then?
I believe I drive around a little bit more looking for her, and then I go back to David and Bobby's house, and I drop Amanda off there, and I asked David, I said, would you go help me, try to find these boys? He said, come on, let's go, because he knew Stevie up in Blyville. He knew Pam's first husband, and he knew Pam most of her life, or all of her life, and so working with him, seemed like a pretty good guy. He looks like ZZ Top. Long hair, long beard. And so he went with me. We drove around. He was with me probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, May the 6th.
When did you see Pam again?
When I picked her up from work.
Okay, you remember about what time that was?
It was right at 9 o'clock.
Okay, and when you went to pick her up, who all was with you?
Amanda.
Just Amanda? Okay.
Okay, I had picked her up. Yeah, because I had her with me. So I picked Pam up.
When you met Pam at her job, what was the first thing y'all talked about?
Pam, like every other night, come out of the building with 2 pieces of candy. One for me and one for Steve. She came out that night with 2 pieces of candy, and she asked, where's Stevie? And I said, Pam, we haven't been able to find him yet. And she says, he's dead. And I said, Pam, don't say that, because who would think that? I was getting nervous a little bit before I picked Pam up, because it started getting dark. And when your kids is out there after dark, as a parent, you get them things. But first thing Pam said was, he's dead. And I said, don't say that. He is. I said, why might she say that? I don't know why she said that, but she said that.
Do you know who was the first family or the first ones to call the police on this?
I know when we was at the Dana's house when I first met Mark, we said right then we was going to call the police. But I thought I called them before that. And I can't remember, but it seemed like I did. But I ain't going to sit here and say that. I'm just trying to think back.
Did you have a home phone at that time? Would you have called from your home or?
No, or payphone.
Payphone.
Yeah.
Did you have a working home phone at that time?
Sure.
Did you? Okay.
I might have even called from there, because I don't remember that, but I remember when I was at the Moore's house and I met Mark, I remember telling Dana, because they both said, this going to call the police. And I told one of us, tell them Stevie ain't here too. So I think I didn't make that call right then, but I mentioned that to Dana.
Okay, so after you have gotten and picked up Pam at work, where do y'all go? What happens then, I guess?
I think we go by the house first, or we might have went to Robin Hood first, over in the wooded area where someone's, the last people that we talked to said they'd seen them go in Robin Hood area. We didn't know there was a Robin Hood area there.
Who did you talk to that said that they'd seen them go, the boys go in there?
Some of the neighbors, because there was a lot of people out there. We was going door to door, asking, you seen 3 little boys, and someone said they'd seen them going to Robin Hood around the time some show come on. So, from that, seemed like from that time on, we just couldn't let go of Robin Hood.
What did you know about Robin Hood Hills that day?
Didn't know a thing about it.
You ever heard of it before that day?
Not a thing. When we got out there, I just thought, I can't see our boys coming out here, because of what it looked like.
Describe for me what you remember it looking
like. A jungle. Looked like something that grown-ups would go in, not kids. And just trails through the wooded area. and ditches of water back there that I couldn't see 8-year-old boys hanging around.
So I take it you went into this wooded area.
Mhm.
Do you remember who all went into that wooded area during the time you were there?
I know when the police were called, Regina come out, and she went in with us a little ways and turned around and come back out because it was hot, and it was muggy, and it was growed up, and it was full of mosquitoes, and everybody was getting mosquito bit, and so, and I believe it was starting to become shift change. And Regina told us that she's going to pass it on down there to the police that all this was going on out here, but there was a lot of people.
Regina, is that a police officer?
Regina Meeks.
Okay.
There was a lot of people out there going through the woods.
Do you remember, if you could, tell me as many people as you can remember by name?
David.
Jacoby?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I didn't know anybody else.
Did Pam go into the woods?
Not until I picked her up.
And
We went in together.
Did you go into the woods before you picked up Pam?
Sure.
You did. Remember about what time that was?
6:30.
Okay, who was with you at that time?
David.
David Jacoby? Anybody else?
Just a lot of neighborhood people. Because there was people on 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers, motorcycles, bicycles, on foot. That was, calling herself, helping us look for 3 kids.
Is there anything that you saw that, was it daylight or dark when y'all went out there the first time? Daylight. Is there anything out there that struck you as unusual or odd that you saw?
Nothing other than I wouldn't have been out here. This is not a place I hang out. No. And we were told at one time that there was something that covered up a hole or something, and they thought they might have been in that hole, so some of them little kids that knew where that place was at said they'd go check it. I think there's a virus boy, the one that was alive. There's another one alive. Can't think of his name. But I think he was going to go with some of the people that was there and check. I don't know what they're talking about.
Was that supposed to be out there in the wooded area also?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So how long do you think you stayed out there in the wooded area the first time? Robin Hood area?
I don't know, because we would drive around looking and then go down the service road looking up in there and then walk out in there from both sides.
Did you see anybody hanging around that area that I know you said people were looking. I mean, if you had your best guess, I guess, Terry, how many people your best estimate of how many people during this first time you're out there do you think are out in that area looking?
20 to 40.
20 to 40. That's a good number. That's a large amount of people.
Mm-hmm.
Were any of them police officers at that time, or were they just citizens?
Just Regina, and after shift change, another officer come out, but he didn't go in the woods. He stayed in his car.
Okay, when you get done, and is this the first time you're out in the wooded area, or okay? When you leave there, how long after you leave there do you go pick up Pam?
I picked Pam up at 9 o'clock. Not only are we looking in the wooded area, but people keep saying, well, there's 3 boys riding a bicycle over here. We've seen 3 boys over here. Someone said 3 boys, so we would go everywhere we heard. I know I did.
Yeah.
I don't know what. It was a time I was in the woods. I seen Mark and his wife, Melissa, drive down the service road looking up in the woods.
When after you got Terry, did you go straight back to the Robin Hood area after you picked her up from work?
Pam?
I'm sorry, Pam. Excuse me.
I believe we did.
And did she go in the woods that time with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where was Amanda?
Probably to Jacoby's. No, it seemed like we might have took her back there.
Okay.
Because Pam wanted to go in the woods.
At that time, after you pick Pam up, you go back to the Robin Hood area, how many people are in the woods at that time?
I know Pam called her dad, and her dad and her mom come down from Blyville.
Mm-hmm.
And they're with her some of that night. I can't tell you exactly what times, but they're with her some of that night. Most of the night, matter of fact. And I don't know how many people at the time was with us. Because, David was still with me, and then Pam got with me, but Pam was also with her dad and mom that night.
Okay. Let's move through the night all the way. Did you ever go back home during the night to Macaulay?
We did, so we could change clothes.
Okay.
Yeah. Pam had her work uniform on, and she wanted to go by and change, so we did. And I might have put on a long sleeve or something to keep mosquitoes off of us, or got bug spray. I don't remember what we done. But I did take her by the house so she could change. Yeah.
Did y'all go back to the Robin Hood area after you changed, or she changed?
All night long.
All night long. Okay. Let's move forward to daylight on May 6th, the next morning. Okay. Carry me through from daylight on through that day. Tell me what's going on, what you're doing, what you and Pam are doing.
From daylight, Pam had made a statement to the police of somebody that her ex-husband, she thought, done it. Because we couldn't find Stevie, we didn't know where they was at. She thought he might have kidnapped Stevie. So they called him, and he comes down the next morning. There's a guy, a bum, walking down crossing that bridge by Catfish Island on that street. Is that Missouri Street?
At the time it was 7th Street, I believe, where Catfish Island was located.
Okay, there's a bum walking on that street, and he's wet and looking terrible, but he gets on the railroad tracks and starts going west.
You see this person?
I see this guy.
There's a white male, black male.
Black.
Just give me a good physical description as best you can about how old he is and what he looks like.
I'm not good at guessing the black folks' age, but it seemed like he had long locked hair, just old, raggedy looking clothes, maybe 40s age, roughly guessing 30s to 40s in his age.
Okay.
But we noticed him. I noticed him especially because we're focused on Robin Hood. He's coming from that area, but he's noticeable, and that image sticks in your brain. But we spend the rest of the morning after daylight. We go to the school, see if they show up at school. We're still riding around, still walking around through Robin Hood.
Who is we when you're talking about we?
Family. During the night, we're out in and out Robin Hood all during the night. Pam, her dad, myself, David. Up until David, I asked David, I said, man, you got to go home because you got to go work in the morning. And just friends, and we're really not friends, just family. Yeah. It's really me and David and her dad for a while.
Okay. Now, you said you saw this black male. Who was with you when you saw him?
Pam was there. Seemed like she seen him. Steve, Pam's ex-husband, might have been in the area. I'm not sure if he made it there yet. But I don't know. Not being honest about it. But
Okay.
he was somebody that just looked like a bomb out here going on.
Take us on through. Just keep going with what you remember from that morning.
Well, after we go to the schools, we go back to Robin Hood, and there's the media there. I think Ben Watson was the reporter at the time that was there. And because Mark had called Search and Rescue in Marion, and they said they couldn't come until West Memphis Police Department called them and said, show up, come out here, we got problems. So, we felt like we'd done what we knew to do. But the daylight comes rolling around. Mark and Melissa went home during the night, and they showed back up daylight. And so we go to school, they don't show up, we go back out to Robin Hood, and there's the media, and they're live, broadcasting live. And then wasn't too long after that, here comes Search and Rescue, here comes police officers from everywhere, and the morning goes on. They start to search and doing things. I'm watching, talking to some of them as they're going down the bayou in a little boat, and they tell me they're going to drain the bayou or something like that. But I don't know. We spend the rest of the day still riding around, me and Pam. And her dad had to take his wife back to Bonneville to be with the kids up there. And while they're up there, the next day, while they're up there, me and Pam's riding around. We go get something to eat, and we really couldn't eat. We go somewhere, and we hear somebody say they found 3 boys, and they tell us it's on that road by the apartments over there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we fly back over there, me and Pam, and Jolene might have been with her at the time. Seemed like she was, I'm not sure.
Jolene.
Her sister.
Pam's sister?
Yeah.
Okay.
But seemed like she might have been, don't quote me on that, but we get back over there and we see the crime scene tape up there, and we don't know what's going on, but there's a lot of people there. We park our vehicle, we get out, we start running up to the tape, and Pam faints. And I help her get back to the car. And I go up to the crime scene tape. Gary Gidge was standing there. I asked Pam's husband, ex-husband, he said they won't let you pass the tape. And I said something to him, kept on walking. I get up there and Gary Gidge was standing there, and I asked him, I says, maybe found something. I didn't know Gary. And I asked him, have y'all, what'd you find? He said, 3 boys. He said, I think it's a homicide, or it looks like a homicide, something like that. And I asked him, I said, what? He said, it looks like they've been murdered. And I just fall on my knees and start crying. I look back here at Pam, and they're trying to get her woke up, and she's having a hard time. I don't know.
I'm going to change sides real quick on this. So you talked to Gary Gitchell. He's told you what's been found, what they found. And that they were treating it as a homicide. Is that right?
I guess. He just told me it looked like a homicide, looked like they'd been murdered.
Did you hear anything? Were there a lot of people around there at that time?
There was.
Did you hear anybody saying anything about it? Any rumors circulating at that time that you remember hearing?
No.
How long did you stay there? Did you stay there a while, or did you try to get Pam out of there, or what did you do?
Try to get Pam back to the house. Because she fainted, and we got her back to the car, and then back to the house later. I don't know how long we was there.
Now, as far as Stevie, did he have any, I guess for lack of a better term, any prized possessions that he kept with him? Anything that he wore or kept in his pockets, or anything that you would know of, that you remember from back then? Anything that, in the mind of an 8-year-old, anything that would be considered, that they might consider special?
Maybe I think he might have had a Ninja Turtle watch. I'm just guessing, but it seemed like I remember that. I don't know anything else. Not at this time.
And it's my understanding from us sitting down talking with Pam a couple of days ago that you and Pam are now divorced.
Correct.
Remember what year you divorced?
03, I think. I'm just guessing.
Where was the divorce? Where did you go through court on the divorce?
Never had to go to court. I used an attorney in Osceola. I can't think of his name at the moment. He was one of Brent's friends.
Brent.
Davis.
Oh, okay. So was this an uncontested divorce? Was there?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Who filed?
I did.
You did? Under what were your grounds?
All the abuse, the accusations, the threats coming from the family, side of the family.
What do you kind of, if you could explain that to us, what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. After this happened, for some reason, Pam and some of her family went around and started telling people Terry Hobbs killed their kids. I don't know why they done this. So she convinced her brother, Jackie Jr. Hicks, that I'd killed them kids, and he would make the threatening remarks to me, I'm going to kill you. If it hadn't been for Dad, I would have killed you already, his daddy. I couldn't for the life of me understand why they would think on this line, but in the abuse is them going around telling people I did it. The threats was coming from the family, the boy, the brother, that he's going to kill me for doing this, which I didn't do this, but still yet, it took a toll on the Hicks family that I've never seen. And of course, I've never been around anything like this, so I didn't know what to expect, but I was seeing things that I just couldn't believe. Go around accusing everybody in West Memphis. We'd go down and come down and talk to the police, and Pam would call off people's names she didn't know, but still accuse them of it. So they'd go out and ask questions, I guess. And I'm just saying it take a toll on this family that I couldn't imagine, I couldn't understand.
Did you ever have any incidents with anybody in the Pam family, any kind of physical confrontations, anything after this happened?
Sure. Me and Pam bought a home in Raleigh, and Pam being at the time struggling with this, we just bought this home up there. We didn't know anybody up there, but you know, I bought it from one of the people at the ice cream company, and one of the boys that the family owned the ice cream company, his girlfriend owned that home, so we bought it from him. Financed it, I believe, through FHA. And Pam, Amanda would go riding, you know, we rode bicycles in the neighborhood, and then Amanda had met some girls down the street because she didn't know anybody either. So instead of Pam going down there with her, I'd ask Pam, why don't you ride down there? You know, the girls. She wouldn't do it. So I'd ride down there to keep my eye on Amanda. We just lost one baby, and we're going to lose another. So I would ride down there with Amanda, keep my eye on her, you know, because we didn't know. So she met these kids, and I ended up meeting their parents, which was nothing to me, just parents. Well, Pam had this thing in her mind. I loved them women, them kids as parents, the women. And all I was doing was keeping an eye on my daughter. And so this one particular day, or really several days, Pam would accuse me of them of wanting me, as it's a woman thing, or me of wanting them, which was nothing to it. And this one certain day, she kept on and kept on and wanted to argue with me about them kids' mother. And I kept trying to tell her, Pam, quit. You know, you just making this stuff up. And she tried the same thing here in West Memphis. Whenever I caught her with that Mexican, she just automatically blowed off the wall. You got a girlfriend over here. Well, I didn't have a girlfriend over here. I didn't play that. But when we got over there and this started happening, this one day I looked at Pam over and over and kept trying to tell her this is nothing to this. And shut it up, leave me alone. I'd go in another room. Here she come in another room and just nag it on. Finally I looked down and said, I'm gonna slap the dog out of you if you don't shut this up. Well, I wasn't happy about saying it, but I told her that. And she kept on, so I'd go in another room. Here she'd chase me in another room, say the same stuff. So we sitting on the couch, and I said, Pam, quit. I tried my best to get her to quit, and she wouldn't do it. So I just reached over and backhanded her. And I know I was wrong for that, but I didn't care. You know, I tried to get her to quit. This went on for hours, not minutes. This went on for hours. And I did reach across her and backhand her right in the mouth. And when I did, she popped me upside the head and grabbed my car keys and threw them across the house and grabbed her car keys, going to head out the door. And so I just thought, no. I grabbed her arm, which had her keys in. I was going to throw hers over there too, kind of childish, but just what was going through my mind. So I grabbed her, we wrestled over her keys, and got her with my elbow when we was wrestling. That was the end of the fight when my elbow hit her. And she told everybody after that I broke her jaw. She called her family and told them I broke her jaw. And I knew what that was going to do. And it was going to bring them down here. So I called the police in Memphis. There's 2 recordings of me calling the police in Memphis. One before, just after the fight. I called them and told them about the fight and what happened and what she done. And they tell me that we can't send someone out there to wait on them. But when they get there, call us back and we'll send someone out there. I said, thank you. But, so, we took about an hour, maybe a little longer, to her brother, his wife, her dad and her mom come knocking on our door shortly, about an hour and a half after that. And they come in yelling at me because she's, I slapped her. I ain't gonna deny that. Might have hit her in my elbow. I ain't gonna deny that. But I didn't beat her up like she told everybody. I didn't break her jaw like she told everybody. I knew that. And after the fight, me and Amanda, I felt bad about it. And there's my wife sitting there looking like this over nothing. So we made her ice packs, me and my daughter, and give them to her, put on her jaws. And her family showed up, and her dad come in yelling at me, brother come in looking at me. And so I seen a chance where I could get my telephone. And I grabbed my telephone, walked outside, called the police again. And tell them, I got some trouble out here, they're back, they're here. Give me them people, send the police out here. And they said, okay. I said, well, in the meantime, I have a gun, I'm gonna load it, I'm gonna put it on me. So I did. I had 357 Magnum, I loaded it with Hawk points. Put it under my shirt and walked outside, had my phone, stood by my truck outside and waited for the police to get there. The dad and his son come out and looked at me while I'm standing out there by my truck, waiting on the police to get there, and walked back in the house. And directly the boy come out there, Jackie Jr., come walking out there. I'm standing by at the bed of my truck, waiting on the police to get there, not saying nothing to anybody. And he walks up to the side of my truck. He said, Terry, man, what happened? And then he reached over and grabs me by the back of my hair and starts pulling me backwards. And I've got my arm on the side of my bed of my pickup. I'm just hanging on, like that, the best I can. But he's a big old boy. And I hang on until I lose my grip. And then I don't know what happened after that. Until I'm laying on the ground, I wake up. I'm thinking if I wasn't knocked out, I don't remember nothing else until I'm laying flat on the ground. He's got both his knees on my back, and he has my head twisted like this. And I'm thinking, this has got to quit. And I pull my gun out, point it up in the air, and pull trigger. But it just so happened to hit him. I didn't point it at him and shoot him. I was just going, let him know I had a gun. I could have yelled it out, sure. I just pointed up in the air and pulled the trigger. And knocked him off of me. And then the ambulance showed up before the police did over there. But they came and picked him up. And they put me through the ringer over there over that.
Okay. When was the last time that you and Pam actually lived together?
Probably 05, 06. Because she moved, she come back down here, maybe 04, I'm not sure, 05, 06, something like that. She come back down here and went to work at Super Low on Code and Pipe. And she lived with me for a while. And then she moved out and got an apartment on Covington Pike and lived there until she moved back to Boston.
Was there any other occasion She, I guess, before she moved out, was there any other run-in with the police?
Oh, yeah,
Were you-
several of them.
Any of them where you were arrested during that time?
Yeah, thanks to Joanne, Pam's sister.
Was that the last time the two of you lived together? You and Pam?
No, this was after my divorce, and I believe it was after my divorce, our divorce, and me and Pam had another separation. She took off to Blywood, and I called her up and I said, if you going up there with John and Jolene, don't you ever come back to my house again. So the next day she brings Jolene to my house. Jolene brings in a bag of weed and a bag of white powder, and of course she had, I don't know this, she had a hit on her, but they bring the police, the Memphis police with them. Okay, they come, they get inside. I had broke the key off in the keyhole because I didn't want them in our house, because I knew what these people have done to me in the past, and I didn't want them to come back and do it again. So I broke the key off, and then my daughter breaks in through the back door, Amanda. And I seen that she ain't gonna quit, open the door, let her in, and she goes over and opens the other door. And the police is out there, and Pam and Jolene's out there. Well, they come in the house, and my daughter, I had a half a joint. I ain't gonna lie about this. I had a half a joint on one tray under my china cabinet. My daughter runs straight to that and pulls it out and gives it to the police. Jolene walks to my bedroom and places that white bag of powder and white and some marijuana on my dresser and goes back in the front and tells the police he's got drugs in his bedroom on his dresser. They run back there and find this and arrest me. And on my way down there, well, matter of fact, as we're walking out of the house, I'm handcuffed. They put me in the police car. Amanda, Pam, and Jolene stand on the patio or the carport. Pam and Jolene are yelling top of their lungs, "You killed Stevie." They're chanting this. "You killed Stevie." They're saying it so loud and so many times that police officer, when he gets me down there by the car, he says, he stops me, he asks me, he says, "Who's Stevie?" And I tell him a little bit about what happened over here.
Mm-hmm.
He said, he said, "I need to get you away from these women." I said, "Please do." That's just the way that happened. But I did get arrested for that. And they dropped that charge on me over there. I think they were probably going to charge me for that white powder. I told them, I said, "I don't know nothing about that. And neither one of them bags are mine. But that one thing was mine." But I went ahead and they went ahead and charged me for the weed, I think, which came from her.
I'm going to go through and show you some pictures and see if you can help me with this. Go through, see if you recognize these items, okay? Let me write this stuff down. Sheet number 1 here, I'm going to show you here. There's a cigarette box, and it looks like maybe some partial dentures.
I had one that looked like that.
Do you still have it?
No. Jolene and Pam took it and gave it to Damien's attorneys.
Do you smoke Marlboros?
I did at the time.
This is a more blown up picture of the same set.
This was made in Blywood, Arkansas by Dr. Dennis Taffer.
That looked like
That looks like mine. Yeah.
Would you would you do me a favor? And this is, I mean, I know you don't have them in here. If you have it in front of you, all we have is a photograph. When was the last time you remember seeing this?
I had them in my file cabinet. I don't know, probably, I'm just gonna guess now. 05, 04, something like that. I don't really remember the date when I had seen that, but I do remember them taking one of my upper parcels and doing that with them.
If you would, I've got this marked, like I said, I've got sheet 1, sheet 2, just so we can show for record that we showed you this. Would you sign and put your name and today's date on each sheet as we go through? And like I said, today's date is June the 21st.
Can I round here, I looked at this?
Sure. I mean, that's fine. I mean, we're recording, so it's showing that you're looking at it. But yeah, that's fine. That looks like the ones you had, the upper parcel.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you do the same thing on sheet 2, and then we'll go through and I'll show you some other items and see if you can help us identify them. Okay. I'll put these here. I'll get them in numerical order. If I now need to borrow my pen for just a second. All right. Start here with sheet 3. Terry, if you would, this is one I've got labeled sheet number 3, okay? And I've got that each item is number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They're knives.
They're mine.
Okay, let's start with number 1. What can you tell me about knife number 1?
Just a junky knife.
Remember where you got it?
I had that so long, I can't remember where I got it from.
What about
I
number
found that
2?
one when I was running my ice cream route. I found this one laying in the street in Memphis.
Knife number 3 right here, this one.
I really don't remember where that one came from.
Okay. What about knife number 4?
Not really. Because a lot of times I would find them on the ground somewhere and just pick them up and put them in these little blocks or something like that.
About knife number 5, you remember anything about it?
Not really.
Okay.
But they do look like mine.
Okay. Like I said, that's sheet 3, yeah, if you'll put down that you viewed those, sheet 3, numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And these, I guess, the ones that Pam told me not long ago, like they said I could have back.
These are photographs of some we have that were, I believe, were turned over to an attorney that has possession of them right now.
Yeah. You mean get them back?
Sir?
You mean get them back?
Do I want you to get them back? No, I don't need them back right now. I mean, if we need them, we have there's a process we have to go through to get them, a legal process we have to go through to get them. Okay.
They said I could have them.
Who said you could have them?
Pam told me the attorney said that.
Oh, I've not been told anything to that effect so far, okay?
Okay.
That may change, but so far, no. But they're locked up safe. They keep right now, is my understanding, is what I've been told. So
Yeah.
let's move to sheet number 4 here. And there's 2 items I got marked 1 and 2 on this, a photograph. Do you recall these items?
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think so. Cause I did have pocket knives and, different knives, but I don't know, because I had some bigger than that, and I never did know whatever happened to them. But, I don't think I remember that. Mhm.
Don't remember the knife and
Not right.
sheath?
Not at the moment. No, because if I did, I'd tell you.
Okay. Okay.
But that don't look like one of mine. No.
All right, you don't remember it though? Okay.
I don't remember that knife.
If you would still sign showing that you viewed it, it's showing you're not remembering it, but that you
Right.
you don't remember owning a knife like that.
So them old knives that I had, I didn't really take them out and look at them, just toss them in the drawer. And bring like that one I found on the street in Memphis, I just took it home, put it in with the rest of them. Wasn't nothing, that's that they were treasured.
These are stuff you picked up along the way. Okay, this is sheet number 5, and it's marked 1, 2, 3, and 4 as far as the items. Tell me what you remember about those, if anything.
This is mine,
Okay, you're pointing what numbers?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. That's a knife, and looks like a little sheet for it.
Uh-huh.
All right.
One seemed like Joe Lynn and her boyfriend bought that for me. But that looked like one that I had, or Pam might have bought it. And that one,
Is this right up above that? This looks like it's got 6 stars. Is that the cover for that, the box? Top?
could be.
Okay.
I think that come from Pam's sister.
Okay. What about
That's just an old junky knife.
what about number 4?
That looks familiar. Yeah, it looks familiar.
Okay. All right. Same thing. If you sign the date, and this is the next one comes to be the last sheet. I'm going to show you. Okay, the last one, this is sheet number 6, and it's again marked 1, 2, 3, and 4. You look at the items on that and tell me if you recognize any of those.
Yeah,
Start with number 1. Do you recognize it?
it's old, it's on the head.
What about number 2?
It kind of looks familiar.
Now, keep in mind too, it's like a knife handle and a sheath, a knife and a sheath, black sheath with a clip on one side.
And this is mine, and that's the case that this come in.
So 3 is yours?
3 and 4.
3 and 4, and then 4 is the black case that 3 came in. Okay. Most of the knives you had here that you recognized, just for clarification, did you buy those knives, most of those, or did you?
Some of them were gifts, but and some of them I found, and some of them I bought just because I liked the way they looked. Like this is one of them ones I like the way it looked.
Number 3 on this one?
It is.
Okay.
But I never carried them.
That was my next question I was going to ask you.
Right.
Do you ever carry a pocket knife on you for any reason, like for work or for anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, I don't have any more of these to show you. That was the last of those. Let me ask you this, Terry. Do you remember you remember Stevie ever having a knife at all?
I don't know if he got one at the Boy Scouts or not, but he did go to Boy Scouts. I don't know if they gave him a pocket knife. But his granddaddy may have given him one. Because his granddaddy was really proud of him. He liked it before. It's possible. I can't say yes or no to that. No, honestly.
So if he had one, you wouldn't have known what it would look like, or?
Well, if I seen it, I might recognize it, but I can't place one at the moment.
Now, did you ever keep any of Stevie's personal possessions after their dad, after the boys were killed?
Well, I ain't gonna say I kept them. We kept them in our home up until Pam would take off, and she'd try to take some. And I still have some pictures of him, sure.
Do you have any other personal items? We're talking about an 8-year-old little boy here,
Right.
as far as, toys or any personal effects that he has.
Not time to think of.
Did Stevie ever mention to you, or did you ever hear through Pam of Stevie mentioning have any problems with any older kids, or name any other boys that you had, any other kids that you hadn't heard of before, prior to May the 5th?
I haven't heard any. George, Chris, and Mike. That's about the only 3 names I knew. Or Aaron. Seemed like him. I seemed like that Aaron Hudson boy. Seemed like that was one of his friends.
Were they the same age?
I don't remember. I don't know how old Aaron is.
Okay.
It seemed like I remember hearing his name back then.
When you and Pam moved to West Memphis, did you move to the house on South Macaulay? Is that the first house you were at, or did you live somewhere else?
If I remember right, we moved south of, on South Avalon, down in that area. There was a house down there, I don't remember the street, but that we rented. And then we moved over there behind Kentucky Chicken on the roads, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If I remember right, there was a house there. Then we moved past Macaulay, another house over that way before Macaulay. 4 houses.
Were those all rental houses, or?
They were.
Okay. And the house on Macaulay, the South Macaulay, the last home you lived in here, was that on South Macaulay? Oh, was that a rental house?
Don Campbell.
Don Campbell's was his rental house.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever move anywhere else in West Memphis after that? After living on 1601 Macaulay, or what was it, 6? Yeah.
We mean did I ever?
Did y'all live anywhere else in another location here in West Memphis other than after South Macaulay or after Macaulay?
No, we moved. Moved to Blount.
Okay. How long? How long after Stevie's death did y'all move to Blythe?
A month or less.
Terry, have you got any questions?
No, so far.
Is there anything else that you can think of that we hadn't gone over today, we hadn't asked you, or something you've remembered through the years that you think might be helpful to us as any kind of follow-up in this investigation?
Well, really, I don't know what you're investigating, so I don't know how to answer that.
Well, all I'm asking is if there's anything that you feel might be pertinent or have some value to this case at all that we might forward to the prosecuting attorney if necessary.
I know I've seen a picture, and I don't know if this means anything. I've seen a picture that Damien Eccles sitting on my couch at my house with Chris and Mike, Stevie and Mike on each side of him, I think. Have you seen that?
No, sir, I have not. Where did you see that picture?
Well, I think Gary Gitchell had it. I don't know how he got it. And they said it was my couch. And I don't remember that. No, of course I know we didn't know Damien Nichols or none of them boys, but I don't know how, if that was our couch, that picture got taken. But I've heard about this picture somewhere out here.
Did you know any of the
No.
three that were
No.
charged and ultimately convicted of this crime? Have you kept in touch with any of the other parents?
Mark Byers.
Mark, you still stay in touch with him?
Mm-hmm.
I know his wife is deceased now, is that correct?
Melissa.
What
He's
about
remarried.
He's remarried.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Moores?
We've run across Dana and Todd up here at Walmart in West Memphis a few times after that. And Todd's just hateful. I mean, I guess he's still mad about all that. But at the same time, Pam was accusing Todd of killing these kids, and Todd kind of took that wrong. You know, because he was out of town working that night. But yeah, we had a confrontation about that one time.
You and who?
I thought Todd was going to beat Pam up. Yeah. Because he was mad because Pam was accusing him. Pam didn't know him.
You said that, just going to touch back again on this picture you were talking about, you actually saw this photograph? Or did you just hear about it? You said the one with Damien and
Yeah,
two boys.
I've heard about it, but I don't remember if I seen it. It seemed like I seen it somewhere.
You heard it from who?
Mark?
Mark Byers?
Yeah. He said that someone's got this picture. And it's of my couch. He said Gary Mitchell told him it was Terry's couch. But it seemed like Gary talked to me about that one time.
If we needed to get a hold of Mark Byers, how could we do it? What's the best way to reach him?
Cell or his home phone.
Okay.
You don't have his number?
Well, I'm trying to confirm, make sure that if you're still in touch with him, you may have more updated information than we do. Right?
He's not my local person I call.
Where's he living at now?
Millington. I have a phone number on it.
If you got one, I'll take it. I will. Mm-hmm.
872-2700. No, 2708.
2708, okay.
Okay. 873. Is that what I told you?
You said 872. It's actually 873?
873.
Okay, I got you. 901-873-2708.
Great.
Got it. Okay. If there's nothing else you have, the only other thing I think we want to do is just take a digital picture, just a good picture, so we sat down and attach the paperwork, and then we're done. We'll get you out of here. But I do want to tell you how much I appreciate your time and your courage for coming in and going back through this with us. It's a tough thing to do, at best. But
well, I don't know what Jolene is up to, but she has, ever since her brother died, and that was a sad thing, the way all this has happened. She's constantly reminding Pam that when Pam was still with me, that you're still with the SOB that killed our brother. And I didn't kill her brother. But the rest of the family looked at it like I did. And we settled that. I thought we settled that in Memphis.
I do have one or two quick things. They were mentioning when we talked to them earlier in the week about some kind of a contract with Dimension Films.
Mm-hmm.
What is that actually about?
They're making a Hollywood movie. They come down here and bought our rights, Mountain Pam's rights, and to make that movie. And from what we've been hearing, it might not be a good movie.
You said they bought your rights?
We might have made a big mistake.
What kind of agreement did you come on as far as the rights?
Life rights.
Well, I mean, as far, they offered you so much money, I take it, what did y'all settle on?
12.5.
Each, or
Minimum.
you each got 12,500? There was one other thing.
She didn't bring you the contract?
No, sir, I've not seen the contract. It was mentioned when we were talking earlier this week, but I've not seen one, no, sir.
You was talking about a book that you was writing,
That's what I was just remembering.
and you said you started back on the 5th of May and been going on.
I've got one. You know, they want to look at it, I won't let them. Ron Lax, the investigators want to look at it, I won't let him. But I started this thing back May the 5th. And just kept up with everything that's happened. Not everything, kept up with a lot that's happened.
Each, or
Minimum.
you each got 12,500? There was one other thing.
She didn't bring you the contract?
No, sir, I've not seen the contract. It was mentioned when we were talking earlier this week, but I've not seen one, no, sir.
You was talking about a book that you was writing,
That's what I was just remembering.
and you said you started back on the 5th of May and been going on.
I've got one. You know, they want to look at it, I won't let them. Ron Lax, the investigators want to look at it, I won't let him. But I started this thing back May the 5th. And just kept up with everything that's happened. Not everything, kept up with a lot that's happened through the years.
Okay. Is it something you're handwriting or something you're typing on a computer, or?
Well, I've handwritten it. And I have a writer who's wanting to put it in the book form for me. Because one day I'm going to put it on the market.
Okay. And you have that within your possession right now?
Mhm.
I don't have any further questions, nothing else that I can think of at this time. Again, Terry, I want to tell you how much we appreciate you coming in. Like he's going to do a digital picture of you to show put with this. That only, it's not intended for anybody else. Okay? And we'll get you out of here. And like I say, I appreciate your time. I know this has been tough, but I do have a lot of respect for you actually coming in and talking to us, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to do the picture. I'm going to turn this off. All right. We're just about run do both sides. If you'll do the picture, let's get this gentleman out. Oh.
Guess you have to take some limbs off, wouldn't I? Wonder if I'd seen that. It's been a long week.
Yeah, I bet.
Like I said, your sister-in-law.
I know. It's sad, you know.
Yeah.
You know, when I don't know what happened out there in the woods that night, whenever, but for them to try to blame it on Mark, blame it on me, blame it on him, and not let somebody get rest from this.
Yeah. Terry,
Once again,
appreciate it, man. Let me give you one of my cards if you ever need anything or something like that, just holler back at us. Anything we can do for you, just let us.
This is where I work. But you got
I got all that stuff, yeah, I wrote it down on your sheet here.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, yeah. All right.
No, but just nobody else in the house other than you and Pam and Amanda.
Right.
Okay. Did anybody come over while you were home after you got in?
No.
No?
Mhm.
Did Pam work that particular day?
She did.
Do you know what her hours were?
I think from 5 till 9, or closing, whatever time they closed. Might have been 10, but it seemed like it was 9.
How many different vehicles did y'all own at that time?
I know of 2, but it could have been 3, because I like to work on old trucks, and I believe I had one at that time. I like to restore trucks and sell them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had one. I know we had 2 vehicles.
Hey, were the other 2 ones that you drove?
Correct.
And we remember what they were?
Not really. No, not really.
Did both you and Pam drive daily?
Yeah. I drove one to work. I'm trying to think of why I drove to work. It's a long time ago.
Sure.
We had a LeBaron, no Chrysler LeBaron. We bought from City Motors here in West Memphis. That might have been what I was driving at the time. Maybe blue.
Okay.
I'm just guessing.
Now, this particular day, the 5th, do you remember what time Pam left for work?
When I got home and seen Stevie wasn't there, she told me he was supposed to be home at 4:30. So from the time I got home, she was cooking supper, and I would walk out to the driveway and to see if I could see him coming down the road on his bicycle, because he's proud of his new bike, and I didn't see him. So we waited around, and she had to be at work by 5. And, I would go in and out of the house to see if I could see him coming, because I had to take her to work. And, you just don't want to leave the kids at home by themselves. No, we didn't. And he didn't show up.
Is there any particular reason you had to take Pam to work?
Well, I've never gone through anything like that, so I can't sit here and say I can imagine how it is, because
It's sad that it happened, and it's sad that you have to live with it.
yeah,
And it's even worse that there's people out here like them defense investigators. It's just, my son told me yesterday, he said he had talked to.
You have your micro cassette?
Huh?
Micro cassette.
Don't have one, get one.
Yeah, if you get one, we'll just set it in here too, so that way that'll be easier for him.
Well, they drug you into it.
Oh,
You say you started here in '94?
no, sir, I've been here since 91,
Okay.
1991. But I wasn't working in the criminal investigation division in 93, 94. I didn't come until 96
Okay.
upstairs here. I've been here ever since. Okay. We're good? Yeah. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. Today's date is Thursday, June 21st, 2007. Time now is 9:32 a.m. I'm Detective Lieutenant Ken Mitchell, presently along with Detective Chuck Knowles. We're presently in the CID office of the West Memphis Police Department, conducting an interview with Mr. Terry Wayne Hobbs, Hobbs, in reference to the triple homicide involving the 3 little boys from 1993. The case number is 93-05-0666 is the case number. And I'd like to go back over a couple of things with you, if I could, to start off with. The first one is a Rule 2.3 rights form that Detective Knowles went over with you just a few minutes ago. Do you understand the 2.3, and are you here voluntarily today, Terry?
I understood the rule, and I am here voluntarily.
Okay. The first signature below that, is that yours?
Yes, sir.
And below your signature, is that Detective Knowles
Yes,
as a
sir.
witness? Okay. Now, I was not present when you went over this with him,
Correct.
correct? Okay. What's your, if you would state your full name and your date of birth.
Terry Wayne Hobbs, 5/21/1958,
And you're currently how old right now?
49.
Okay. Terry, what we'd like to do, and what I was telling you just a few minutes ago, is the prosecuting attorney, Mr. Davis, has asked us to interview a couple people in light of some possible new evidence that may have come up, and just to fill in some blanks, I guess, as far as this case goes, that might be helpful. And that's what we've been asked to do. That's why we called and asked you to take those calls yesterday and asked if you could come in. And I appreciate greatly your availability to us. I mean, that you came in and can do this. What we'd like to do with you to start out with, if you would take us back to May the 5th, 1993. Okay, and I'm going to start out by just asking a few questions, and I'm going to let you just kind of walk us through the day in your mind, what you can remember. If you're not sure of something, just tell us you're not sure, or you don't know. I'm going to move this a little closer to you, make it a little clearer when you're speaking to us. Where were you living? You remember where you were living on May the 5th, 1993?
May the 5th, we were living on McCauley Street in West Memphis.
Do you remember the address?
1601.
Okay, and who all lived in that house?
Terry, Pam, Stevie, and Amanda.
Okay, for purposes of this interview, when you say Pam, who are you talking about?
Pam Hobbs, my wife.
Okay.
At the time.
You said Stevie.
Pam, my stepson, Pam's son.
What's his last name?
Steve Edward Branch.
Okay,
That's his full name.
And how old was Stevie at the time?
At the time, 8 years old.
Okay, and you said Amanda?
Amanda Hobbs, my daughter, she was 4 at the time.
Okay. Was she your daughter with Pam?
Correct.
Okay. All right. You said she was 4?
Correct.
Okay.
Born here in West Memphis.
Okay. And on May the 5th of that year, was Pam working anywhere?
Catfish Island in West Memphis. I don't know if there's a particular reason. I just did it. It's just the way we did things.
Okay. And
I'd take her to work. I'd pick her up from work.
okay. So who all went when you took Pam to work? Who all went?
I drove. Pam went with me, and Amanda.
Okay. Let me back up just a second. During this time period, 1993, up to, say, from the beginning of 93 up to the 5th of May, describe your marriage with Pam. How was your marriage? How would you describe it?
Could have been better. We'd had Pam had a problem of staying faithful. She really did, and that got me, but she had something. She was working at Poncho's one time down here, and we had pool parties every once in a while, and some of the people from Poncho's would come over, and one night I come in there after one of our pool parties. We didn't want the drunk people to drive, so we just let them, fall out, and wherever you laid is where you woke up at. Well, one night we get up, going through the house, looking at people, making sure everybody's okay, and Pam is standing there wrapped up in the arms of a Mexican. His name is Jesse, and he worked at Poncho's with Pam. Well, I whooped the dog out of Jesse. It probably wasn't right, but I did. But that happened, and it was so to say we had the perfect marriage, but that did happen before all that happened. But we had a pretty good marriage, I thought. But you know, Pam just did some things you shouldn't.
What do you remember what room they were in when you said
The kitchen.
In the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, any other problems that come to mind as far as your marriage at all during that time, prior to the 5th of May, obviously?
Not really, other than her family. I'm not sure of the street, but it's over by that Union 76 truck stop.
Okay. And at that particular time, also, were you working?
I was working at Memphis Ice Cream Company in Memphis, Tennessee.
Where is Memphis?
914 James Street.
James, is it still
It's still there.
still there? What was your job title and job description for
I was
Memphis?
a merchandiser. I sold ice cream.
Do you do that over the phone, or do you have a route, or
I ran a route.
you ran a route? What did your route consist of?
Going to mom and pa's stores, little corner groceries, and filling up freezers and selling ice cream.
Was your route strictly in Tennessee, or?
No, I come to West Memphis,
Did you?
Marion, Forest City, up that way, Mariana.
Do you have a route in Tennessee and Arkansas
And Mississippi.
and Mississippi? Okay.
Mhm.
Do you remember working on May the 5th, 1993?
I do.
Do you remember your schedule that day? What time you got up and went in, what time you got home?
Excuse me. I usually every day went in about 5:30 a.m. and I'd get off around 2:30, 3 o'clock p.m. About every day.
Now, this particular day, May the 5th, do you remember about what time you got home?
Roughly guessing around 3:30, something like that.
And was anybody home when you got there?
Pam and Amanda was home.
Okay. Did you see Stevie anywhere?
I did not. He wasn't there.
Do you know where he was at?
When I walked in, I always checked on the kids, and I didn't see Stevie, so I asked Pam, where's Stevie? And she said he went off to ride his bicycle with Michael Moore, his bicycle, which his grandparents had just bought him prior to that day.
And if you can remember, what kind of day had that day been for you? I mean, was it anything about the day that stood out up to that point?
No, just another working day, getting home from work, and Pam was cooking supper.
Anything unusual when you got home at all?
Nothing other than Stevie wasn't home, and I always wanted to know where the kids was at. That's why I asked her.
You remember what Amanda was doing during that time, or?
Seemed like she was in Stevie's bedroom watching TV.